even in my memory, there are very many Sutzkevers. So I met Sutzkever in the ghetto when he was looking at my work. And I realized that he has a great interest in my work. Actually, he was the one who then promoted my first showing of my work in the ghetto itself. But he was very active for the survival of Yiddish within the limits of what was the reality after the war. And we met many, many times when he was the director of the Golden Arcade. They gave out something like at least 100 of their brochures. And once, for instance, he told me, "Oh, I have seen that you have written something. You have written something about," and in fact, I have written something for a publication in German. I had a request from the German radio to write a kind of a 20-minute text about myself. The German radio had a program that was called Mein Judentum, My Jewishness. And they asked about 20 people that for them were then significant people, Jewish people in the world. And they asked them to write about that. And then a publisher published all these texts in a book. And Sutzkever found the book and said, "Oh, this is a wonderful text. Do you mind that I translate it?" So he translated that text and published in the Golden Arcade.
Of Yiddish.
And many years later, by chance, really by chance, I saw something where David Roshkes referred to my beautiful Yiddish. And I had to wait for an occasion to meet him and tell him, "Look, I'm sorry, this is not my Yiddish. This was the Yiddish of Sutzkever." But Sutzkever had a wonderful, kind of feeling for me, for my work. The last time I saw him was many years ago, and we were in Paris. And he discovered then a French poet, Verlin. And it was when he came from Amsterdam, there was a big convention of poets that deal with Yiddish translations. And they translated his poetry into many languages. And he had with him a cassette. And he wanted me to hear how his poems sound in Japanese, in German. In German it was extraordinary. There was the poem by Sutzkever called Die Verfrorene Juden, which is a frightening poem. It's the frozen Jews. He speaks of bodies that are frozen in the snow. And this read in German because also of the connection of that language and those images. I remember he played that on a little recorder. We were maybe in a cafe and it froze my blood. And then the last time I heard from Sutzkever is I sent him the book, Painted in Words, when it came out in 2001, I think. And he sent me back a book that was published with Peretz Verlag in Tel Aviv of his writings in prose. And what was actually extraordinary in that book, I think it was the very last essay of his, was dedicated to my painting and to our meeting in the ghetto. And there he tells even that I asked him what is expressionism, and he said, "Well, it's very difficult for me to explain what expressionism is." So I told him, according to what he tells, I told him, "Well, just make a drawing of it." So he said, "I don't know." I said, "That's strange. You know something and you cannot draw it?" It was very sweet for him to tell this story. But what moved me very much was the last phrase of this. Sutzkever says there in Yiddish, Bach is eingebackt in mein Herz. This kind of moved me almost to tears.